There's only 24 hours in a day. I got a pair of earbuds and I wish there was a way that I could know just what I want to listen to. There's 150,000 shows that I'm not sitting through. When the world is dark and boring, let us do your exploring. Pod on pod. Pod on pod.
Welcome to Pod on Pod, a guide to the world of podcasts, because it's not your daddy's radio. We're your hosts.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Joel. Welcome back, friends. As November continues, that means Listener Appreciation Month continues, and that means you get 2 podcasts every week. Yay!
My favorite week of the year.
Yeah, well, it's your favorite month of the year. Every week this month is a great month, man. And we're continuing now, and today we're going to be discussing the Art of Manliness. This show was suggested by Christopher Lupo of North Carolina. Here's the email, Josh.
Who is now my new favorite listener.
Christopher, he's your number one fan, or you're his number one fan, I should say? Okay, Christopher says, "Hey guys, I found you because Stuff You Should Know mentioned you and mentioned that you gave them a good review. I just binged on all the episodes today, and I'm loving your podcast review show." And he actually suggested several podcasts, and I promise, Christopher, we'll probably get to all of them eventually. But for the Art of Manliness, he just said, "The Art of Manliness, discussions on topics and issues important to or of interest to men. The goal of the podcast is to help men become better men." And I think that's a pretty apt description of the show. I think most of the show is applicable not just to men, though. I was a little worried, and I knew of the website, but I had not ever heard the podcast.
You know, it would be like back in college, a lot of college girls were reading like Cosmo.
Yeah.
So I would read Cosmo.
That's not a terrible way to look at it. Yeah.
So if this is a show that guys are listening to and a show that's saying that it can make men better men, ladies, it's probably something to have your ear to.
Well, I was thinking specifically about like a wife that's like interested in like ways to better understand her man and to better direct him in the way that she wants him to be. This would be a good train to jump on too.
All women are welcome.
So let me tell you a little bit about the show. Brett McKay and Kate McKay, they founded the website, theartofmanliness.com, in 2008. Brett took off first, and then he hired his wife full-time afterwards. The staff grew from there. I listened to episodes 51, 78, and 82.
I don't remember the numbers, but I listened to the Survivor Man Last Stroud episode. I listened to the aggression episode, and while following your passion may not lead you to happiness.
Yeah, that's one of the episodes that I listened to as well. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. The way that we break down a podcast here on Pod is we talk about content, production values, host likability, and audio quality. And then we also do some fun stuff like giving the show alternate titles, telling you about our favorite moments, and then we rate the thing overall by telling you how many earbuds in we're going to give the show. That's how we rate it, not stars or thumbs up, etc. We talk about earbuds here on Pod. First, let's start with content. This show is all about interviews with experts on topics that affect mostly men, but there's a lot that women or anybody could gain from. But it's interviews with experts every week.
Yes.
I mean, and that's the format of the show.
It's a lot like if you've listened to one of the first shows that we reviewed, Decode DC, it's kind of like Decode DC as to politics.
Lifestyle? Like this is a lifestyle version of that?
A manly lifestyle.
Yeah, maybe, I suppose. And here's the other thing, I think, and if you go and look at the website at all, or if you look at the artwork for the podcast, you might get the hint that one of the things that Brett is really about is taking the good things about classical manliness or just classical living, period, especially in America, and bringing that into the modern era. He feels like it's obvious, I think, it comes across in his content anyway, that there's something we've lost in modern society. And some of those things were good that we lost along the way because we've cut them out. Some of those things not so good that we lost.
Yeah, but I don't think he always, like, being aggressive in a modern age isn't necessarily a good thing.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think But he's saying we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak.
Yeah, sure.
Like we in our race to be modern man and more understanding and more accepting and more feeling, et cetera, we've lost some things that we can bring into the modern era. And he, through the website, through the podcast, trying to bring some of those things back. That's the way that it feels to me. That's sort of the mission statement as it comes across. So let's see how he does it. Let's talk about audio quality real quick. Great recordings, truthfully, for him. The interviews is where this occasionally falls apart. Some of them are wonderful. Some of them are almost on his level. Some of them are horrible. They sound like they were recorded from a cell phone in a well.
Well, and I would think that most of them are over the phone, and it's not great, but it's not unlistenable.
It was almost always listenable. I said always listenable, and then I changed it because after I listened to my 3 episodes for this review, I went back and downloaded an extra episode. I downloaded the Ariana Huffington interview. I was like 5 minutes into it, and I couldn't handle it anymore. Her part of the recording was so bad that it wasn't worth me trying to fight through to get to the content. But that was the only one that really was a bad problem for me. From audio quality, let's talk about production values too. Limited production. You got a great theme song though. The theme music is amazing.
I love the artwork. I love the theme music. Like, man, it just hits me in the right way.
So they come in with the theme music, they go out with the theme music, and the only thing other than the interview and a little explanation from Brett at the beginning is the occasional ad.
Yes.
But his ads are well done, conversational
Short.
style, gets to the point, tells you the information about the product, and then gets right back to the content that you're actually there for to begin with. Which I guess all of that sort of brings us to host likability too. What did you think about Brett?
I think he's fantastic, man.
Yeah, you've already made it clear.
I've kind of got a man crush.
This is a dude you're going to follow for a while at least. Especially over the course of 3 episodes, but I had reservations about this show based on the name, based on the kind of content that I saw in the headlines. I thought it was going to be a certain thing, and it turned out not to be. He comes off as much less misogynistic than I imagined, and it's
not at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not. He's pro-woman. He's pro-minority. This is a dude that likes some things about classical American life, but he's not a stick in the mud. He's not some old fogey that's like longing for the day when the white straight male was at the pinnacle of his prime or something.
This is hands down my new favorite show.
I think this is an interesting show because he's covering territory that a lot of conservatives, politically, religiously, whatever, they would agree with and this is wonderful to promote. But I think he would expose them to some slightly different. I think this is a podcast I might suggest to people to help make them better people.
Look, man, whenever you have certain headlines dominating the news, especially when it comes to like the NFL and Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice and those types of things going on and dominating in the news, I think this is a great show that shows, like, dude, don't be afraid to be a man, but being a man isn't necessarily what you were taught growing up.
Yes. No, I think that's a great summation of it. Why don't we use that as the bow and let's move on to our favorite moments from this show. My first favorite moment comes from the episode that was about setting yourself up for, like, following your passion is not always the right way to go.
That was the first episode I listened to and probably the best introduction I could have had to this show.
It was a really good one. You and I both know a lot of people that chased whimsy, so to speak, from go right after college and have suffered, at least in our estimation, from the outside on their life because of it. You and I at different times have chased our own little whimsy.
I felt like a sellout for a long, long time.
Working a regular job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, what I found in that conversation that was so fitting though, and the thing that made it as one of my favorite moments, Cal Newport is the guest on that episode, by the way, and he makes this statement: I didn't believe that there was one right career choice for me. And that's something that I could connect with so directly. I felt paralyzed. I still feel paralyzed by choice sometimes. Not like I'm so wonderful I can do anything, but I just feel like there are many things that I could learn to do. And especially as a younger guy, I felt like any of these choices are the wrong ones. And so I felt sort of like paralyzed by that. And he flipped it around, and I like the way that he did it. He makes it's freeing. There is no one choice, which means there's no, or at least there aren't many wrong choices.
So this isn't my favorite thing that happened. I'll get to that in just one second. But on that particular episode we're currently discussing, I kind of love the thought that following your passion isn't necessarily going to lead you to happiness, and kind of how people work and what makes them happy is really succeeding. Being good at something is very fulfilling. And so it doesn't matter what you're currently doing. If you pursue that to be the best at it and to succeed, that ultimately is going to lead to fulfillment and happiness.
Well, and the other thing is to leave yourself open, to have your mind open to the possibilities of pursuing your passion from where you are in your career.
Yeah,
you don't have to. Yeah, it could be a side gig.
Yeah.
It could be a hobby. It could be some project that you start at your company that they hadn't done in the past, but that allows you to pursue that that passion through the career capital that you've already built up.
Yeah, I really liked that episode. But my favorite part is going to come from the Survivor Man episode, not because that's what I had in my ears while I was at the dentist, which, by the way, is a fantastic place to listen to podcasts.
I have never done that. Now I'm very much looking forward to the next time I have a dentist.
Oh, it's fantastic. But because, oh, man, I love that Les Stroud called out the rest of the Survivor-type shows, like Man vs. Wild or Dual Survival or Naked and Afraid, and him be like, yeah, that's all, like, you're not really getting anything from that. It's scripted. There's people around. They're never in danger.
And he just does it by himself?
Oh, yeah, and he's always been my favorite of those guys because of that, man.
Like him and a GoPro or something?
That's it, yeah, just me. If I get dehydrated, I get dehydrated. If I have to drink my own urine, it's because I have to do it. Not because I want to. Not because I want to while the cameraman sips on a Dasani over there.
You make a good case for that as your favorite moment. I'm surprised you didn't like the way, though, that Cal Newport signed off on his episode. Brett is asking him, as he does all of his guests, tell our listeners how they can find more of you, or how can they follow you, blah, blah, blah. How can they? And Cal Newport says, "You'll find a hard time contacting me. I don't use social media, and I'm wary of email." And I thought, that's Josh. That is Josh to a T right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love that whenever I started listening to that Survivor Man episode, like I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to talk about the other Survivor shows out there, and if he's going to
be nice or say what he really thinks.
Yes.
And he said what he really thinks.
Mostly.
He did it in as nice a fashion as he could. My other favorite moment came from the Happy Families episode, how to create a happy family, which is something I think about a lot. I've got a 6.5-year-old son. I got a 5-year-old boy, and then we've got 2 little girls that are just about to be a year old now. And I think a lot about like the intentionality of creating our family, like of setting patterns, of setting like traditions, of setting expectations. And then the best way to sort of put that on autopilot so that I'm not warring with my kids in their teens and 20s, but that I'm enjoying my kids in their teens and 20s. And he had some great advice in there, but one of my favorite things in that whole podcast was the statistic, only 1/3 of families actually eat family dinner on any given night, so don't kill yourself about it. Studies show that there's only 10 minutes of actual conversation in those family dinners, so that's what you need to find time for. He was like, or she actually was a female expert on that episode, but find the 10 minutes of happy family conversation and fit that wherever it is. Maybe for your family, it's family breakfast. Maybe it's family snack time after everybody's done with practice or whatever at night. But find that 10 minutes to spend with each other and conversing as human beings. And that's the thing that'll start to foster that atmosphere. And I was like, that's great. That makes me feel better because we do not do family dinner every night.
So as we get into the ratings portion of this that we're about to get into, I feel like that you're going to be lukewarm on this show. But literally everything you have said has shown the value in the content.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's it was worthwhile to me. The 3 episodes that I listened to, I chose those 3 topics because they were worthwhile to me directly. And like, not only was it part of the assignment, but I was enjoying and gaining from those interviews and episodes directly. So I love what Brett's done here. Let's move on to the ratings though and see exactly where we stand. So we don't give it stars, we don't give it thumbs up here on Pod. We rate podcasts with earbuds in. I let you start last episode, so I'll start this episode. I do enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a lot. I'm going to suggest it to many, many people. It will be, and again, like his audio is very nice. I love the way that he edits the show together. I love his mission. Maybe I just don't want to get better enough, and that's not what I'm going to podcast for. But this is not something that I'm going to want to listen to every episode, week in and week out, and therefore I can't give it 2 earbuds. I'm going to say 1.5. 1.5 earbuds from me. You're so disappointed.
This is my favorite show that has ever been listener submitted. And it's really not even close. We listen to a lot of different podcasts, and some of them are very educational podcasts, and that's the purpose of the podcasts. Some of them we listen to for strictly entertainment, right? And those are where you find the values in those different types of podcasts. Even in the educational podcasts, which I enjoy, I feel like I'm just learning different things, different facts, learning about different topics, increasing my depth of knowledge. This is the first podcast that I've listened to that I felt like was going to help me out, that was going to give me advice that I could practically apply to my life in one way or other, that's going to make me better, and I enjoy improving. I love the show. I'm going to not only listen to every new episode, I will finish the entire backlog, and I'm going to suggest it to just about anybody who's going to ask me for suggestions. It's a 2. It's a 2 all day, every day, hands down. It's a 2.
The Russian judge is in love with this show. Were you bribed, sir?
No, it's fantastic.
Did Brett get to you?
No.
All right, then. All right, fine.
I enjoy this on an educational and improvement level that is equal to the entertainment level I get out of, like, say, The Bugle, which is a fantastic show.
I think that's fair enough, and I got to tell you, you couldn't have made a stronger case for the show. You really couldn't. We both enjoyed it quite a lot. I don't mean for my 1.5 to be a slight. This from the dude who gives 1s and 1.5s all the time, like it's gold that he's passing down.
Well, no, because this is how I felt about the show. Just the style of it with the phone conversation and the expert. I was like, oh, this is so. I didn't really care for or enjoy Decode DC as much as you did, but listening to this show and seeing the interest and value that I get from it, I was like, okay, I kind of get that Joel likes Decode DC. He was a poli-sci guy in college. Right. It's his topic. It's his content. I get that he's going to like this more than me. It's just sad to know that you like that scene, political scene, and learning about that stuff more than you like being a man.
On that note, hey, I don't like it more than I like being a podcaster.
That's true.
I love being a podcaster. Hey, if you want to help us keep podcasting, by the way, you can do us a favor and follow us on Twitter, Pod on Pod, at Pod on Pod. Or you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pod on Pod. You can review us and rate us in iTunes and or Stitcher, or you could just share us with a friend. All of those are great ways you can help us grow as a podcast and community. We appreciate everybody who's done those things already. We also appreciate all the submissions for new reviews. We've had a lot of listeners submitted podcasts even after we've started our Listener Appreciation Month. Lots of people are excited to help other people find one of their favorite shows. I think that's cool.
And don't forget, if you're musically inclined, take a stab at re-recording our theme song. Do it with just a guitar and snare drum if that's your thing. Do it on a kazoo.
I would like a reggae remix of the
that would
Pod
be
on Pod
fun.
theme song.
Yeah.
Or since you like the Smodcast theme song so much, maybe we could get an MC Chris style take on it.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
You can find the lyrics, by the way, at podonpod.com. If you go back and click on the Mabim Mabam episode, Pod on My Brother, and Me, featuring Adam Dale, the lyrics are there. And we appreciate everybody who's taken a swing at that, too. You'll start hearing those before too long, I promise. Next on Pod, we got 2 great reviews coming up for you. you. You're going to hear us talk about the Bizarre States podcast from the Nerdist Industries. Then you're going to hear us talk about Star Talk from Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, right on, man.
That's right.
I'm going to be honest. Just in my everyday dealings with people, like the interactions that I have, and when we talk about podcasts, this show probably comes up the most.
Really?
So while it wasn't our most submitted show, just the everyday person I'm running into, almost everybody's listening to this.
To Star Talk.
Yeah.
Oh, well, everybody wants to feel smarter. Neil deGrasse Tyson does a great job of making you feel smart.
Yes, I'm sure.
Later on this month, you're also going to hear about blurry photos with Dave and David, and we're going to also review Rob Has a Podcast. It'll be our first reality TV podcast.
That's exciting.
All of that and more coming up as Listener Appreciation Month continues and perhaps even flows over into December here. I think we're backed up one episode. Anyway, until next week, we're your hosts.
I'm Josh.
I'm Joel. Stay manly.
Are you wanting something funny? Are you wanting something smart? A show on astral projection or the history of art? Do you want to learn a language or how to play guitar? Just leave it up to Joel and Josh. Pod on pod. Pod on
Pod on Pod is a proud member of the Procast Network, a Procreate production. Procreate is a community of artists in film, music, the digital arts, and fine arts that helps them connect and collaborate on projects. You can find out more at teamprocreate.com. For more great podcasts from the Procast Network, check out Movie Buzzed. Every week, your host, Zach, and some special guests review a new film. It's time for good friends, a great movie, and a good buzz. The Pod on Pod theme song was written and produced by Adam Dale. You can find more information about him on our website, as well as links to his forthcoming album, Cats and Dogs. Our musical guest this week is The Great Northern.
I can't stand this, I just wanna give up. But I wish one day this is all gonna stop. 'Cause I can see how much this affects you. If it all kills me, that my problems hurt you too. I don't wanna feel like this anymore. But nothing that I've tried has brought me one single step closer to the cure. I feel trapped in a room I don't know anymore. Try to escape, find myself at the liquor store. But nothing helps, and I wish I knew why. That kills most of all, I'll never understand, no matter how hard I try. And I don't wanna feel like this anymore. But nothing that I've tried has brought me one single step closer to the cure.